You know when you read a sentence and it just works? It's strong, it's clear, and it makes an impact? Well, that is not an accident. Today, we're going to break down the essential toolkit you need to build those powerful sentences, turning choppy ideas into something smooth and persuasive.
Okay, just take a look at this. On the left, you've got the raw information. The girl has a dog. The dog is big. It gets the job done, I guess, but it's pretty clunky. Now look at the right. Same information, but crafted. The girl has a big dog. He runs quickly. It's efficient, it flows, and you get a clear picture in your head. The gap between these two, it's not magic. It's just a few simple tools. Let's break them down.
Every great structure has to start with a solid foundation, right? Well, in writing, that foundation is all about naming things, and that's where our very first tool comes in, the noun. So we all basically know what a noun is. It's a person, place, thing, or idea. But I want you to think of it as the anchor of your sentence. Everything else we're going to build today will either describe it or be put into action by it. And those little words, and, the, they're kind of like signposts telling you a noun is probably coming up.
It's super simple. In the teacher is kind, teacher is our anchor. In I saw a cat, cat is the thing we're talking about. Simple, clear, and it's the absolute starting point for any idea you want to get across.
All right, let's do a quick check. How do you fill in the blanks here? He bought an apple and a banana. It's got to be an apple and a banana. It seems like a tiny thing, but that little rule is crucial for making your language just sound natural. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so our foundation is set, but sentences with just nouns are, well, they're just blueprints. To bring them to life, we need to add color, texture, some real detail. And that's the job of our next tool, the adjective. An adjective's main job is to describe a noun. But what it really does is shape how your reader sees things. It answers all the important questions, like, what kind is it? Which one are we talking about? How many? This is where you go from just stating a fact to painting a really specific picture. I mean, just feel the difference here. She wore a dress. Okay, that's a fact. But she wore a red dress. Now that's a scene. That one single word, that adjective, changes everything by giving us a vivid, specific image. But adjectives have another superpower. They can compare things. This lets us create a kind of ranking. We can describe one thing, a fast car, or we can compare it to another one, a faster car, or we can put it right at the top, the fastest car. This simple progression, fast, faster, fastest, adds a whole new layer of precision to your writing. So we have our thing, and we've described it. But what is it doing? To add detail to the action itself, we need our next tool. It is time to talk about adverbs. So if adjectives describe the things, adverbs describe everything else, especially the actions. They tell us how, when, or where something is happening. Are they talking loudly or are they talking persuasively? Did they show up early or did they show up strategically? Adverbs give us that critical detail about the action. Just look at the impact this has. She sings. It's a statement, but she sings beautifully. Now that is a performance. That one little adverb totally transforms a simple fact into a compelling description. It tells us how she sings, and it changes the whole meaning. All right, another quick pop quiz. In he ran quickly, the adverb tells us how he ran. Of course, it's quickly. See, this stuff isn't so bad. Let's move on to the final touches. We now have our main building blocks, nouns to name things, adjectives to describe them, and adverbs to describe what they're doing. But to make our writing sound truly professional, we need the finishing touches, the stuff that creates that smooth, effortless flow. First up, the pronoun. You know these guys, he, she, it, they. Their obvious job is to keep you from repeating the same name over and over again, but their real function is to create a smooth, continuous flow. They keep the subject in the reader's mind without you having to be awkward about it. Just listen to the difference. Maria is kind. Maria helps others. It sounds disjointed, a little robotic. Now try this. Maria is kind. She helps others. Ah, so much better. The second sentence flows right from the first. It's cleaner, more sophisticated, all thanks to one tiny pronoun. And our final little trick is the possessive. This is all about efficiency. Instead of saying something clumsy like, the backpack that belongs to Sarah, we just say Sarah's backpack. It instantly clarifies who owns what. All right, our toolkit is complete. Nouns, adjectives, adverbs, pronouns, and possessives. Now it's time to go back to our original clunky sentences and rebuild them into something great.
Okay, let's do this step by step. We start with our core idea, the nouns. The girl has a dog. Now let's add some color with an adjective, a big dog. To connect our next idea without repeating ourselves, we swab in a pronoun, he runs. And for the final detail, we describe that action with an adverb, he runs quickly.
And there it is. We took 3 separate, choppy facts and used 4 simple tools to forge them into a single flowing thought. The girl has a big dog, he runs quickly. This is the perfect example of how combining these basic elements takes your writing from just being functional to being truly effective.
So the big takeaway here isn't that you have to be a grammar nerd. It's that masterful writing comes from deliberately choosing and combining these fundamental tools. We've just covered the basics today, but the real question is, now that you see how all the pieces fit together, what are you going to build with them?
Ready to transform your English learning journey? Hey, English learners! What if homework was exciting, grammar checking instant, and IELTS prep felt like a game? We've built ClearPath English, your all-in-one English learning companion. Why struggle alone when you can have an AI teacher available 24/7? Get instant grammar correction and feedback. Plus, complete IELTS preparation, interactive lessons, and vocabulary tools. Learning English shouldn't drain your wallet or waste your time. We've packed everything you need into one powerful platform. Ready to see why thousands choose ClearPath English? Visit http://www.acemastery.online today and simplify your learning journey.
Hello and welcome. What if I told you that you already have a time machine for language? Seriously, it's one that can zip your stories to the past, present, or future with perfect accuracy. Today, we're going to learn how to fly it. So, does this ever happen to you? You're telling this amazing story, and suddenly you freeze, wondering, wait, is it I go, I went, or maybe I have gone? It's a super common problem, but hey, don't worry. In the next few minutes, we're going to get your timeline totally straightened out.
Okay, here's the big idea. Think of every single verb as its own time machine. And the tenses, past, present, future, those are the controls on your dashboard. Once you get the hang of them, you can take your listener literally anywhere in time you want. So let's get you buckled in.
Our first stop, the present. Because, before we can jump around to the past or the future, we have to get a really solid grip on what's happening right now.
Here is the absolute key to telling these two apart. Just ask yourself, is something always true, or is it true right now? See, he works at a bank is a routine, it's a fact about his life. But he is working from home today, that's just temporary. One's a habit, the other is an action unfolding as we speak. All right, your turn at the controls. Look for the clue in the sentence every weekend. Now, is that a routine, or is it something that's just happening for a single moment? Go on, think about it. And the answer is plays. That little phrase, every weekend, is our dead giveaway. It tells us this is a habit, a routine, and that means we need the present simple. See? You're already getting the hang of this. Okay, time machine engaged. Let's dial it back and take a little trip into the past. This is where we talk about, everything that's already happened. Now, this is where we can really start to add some flavor to our stories. I watch TV is fine. It's simple. The action is over. But check out the second example. I was watching TV. That paints a picture, right? It tells us an action was already in progress in the past, right up until something else, the phone ringing, interrupted it. Let's try another one. Think about the two actions happening here, his cooking and my arrival. Which one of those was already going on when the other one happened? It's got to be was cooking. This shows us that the cooking had already started and was still happening when I showed up. My arrival was the short, quick action that interrupted the longer, ongoing one. Makes sense, right? All right, let's punch it forward. Time to set our controls for the future and see how we talk about everything that's still to come. Okay, this is a classic mix-up, but it's actually way simpler than it looks. You use will for spontaneous, in-the-moment decisions. Like you're looking at a menu and say, you know what, I think I'll have the pizza.
but you use going to for plans you've already made or when you have evidence for a prediction.
Let's break these down real quick. I will visit is just a simple, straightforward future action. But if you look up and see big dark clouds, you have evidence, so you say it's going to rain. And if you want to talk about an action that will be in progress at a specific time in the future, you can say, I will be flying.
And now for the advanced controls on our time machine. These are the perfect tenses, and they are absolute masters at linking different points in time together. This is pro-level stuff.
The present perfect is like a bridge. It literally connects a past action directly to the present moment. The trick here is that we don't really care exactly when it happened in the past. What we care about is how it affects or is relevant to the now. So when you say, I have visited London, you're not just stating some old fact. You're saying that the experience of being in London is part of who you are today. That memory, that experience, it's still with you in the present. Okay, the past perfect is for telling a story inside of another story. It's for when you're already talking about the past, but you need to mention something that happened even earlier. Just look at the timeline. First, I finished dinner, then he arrived. To put it all together, you'd say, I had finished dinner when he arrived.
You know, sometimes you need a special maneuver. The passive voice isn't really about when something happens, it's about changing the focus of the sentence. We use it to shine the spotlight on the thing that's receiving the action. And the steps are pretty simple. You just grab the object, move it to the front, and tweak the verb a little bit.
And finally, every good time machine has some custom parts. And that's what irregular verbs are. They're the rebels of the grammar world that just don't follow the rules. Honestly, there's no trick to these. They're like special codes that you just have to memorize to keep your machine running smoothly. And there you have it. From simple present all the way to past perfect, you've just finished your pilot training. You now have the controls to move smoothly and confidently through time in any conversation you have.
So, if you remember just one thing from all of this, make it this. Verb tenses aren't just about memorizing rules. They are all about telling a clear, compelling story. Always, always ask yourself, when did this happen and how does it connect to everything else? Now it's your turn to really take the controls. We've put together a practice worksheet for you. The link is right down below, so you can totally master these new skills. Because after all, you're not just learning grammar, you are learning how to control time itself. Thanks for joining me on this one.
Hey there and welcome. Today, we're not just going to talk about grammar. We're actually going to build a toolkit. Seriously, we're going to stock it with some of the most powerful tools in English for getting your ideas across with, perfect clarity. So let's pop open that toolkit and see what we've got.
Take a look at that sentence. That right there, that's exactly what we're talking about today. It's looking back at the past with a little bit of regret, imagining something that didn't happen. By the end of this, you won't just get that sentence, you'll be building your own just like it.
All right, first up in our toolkit, the conditionals. Just think of these as your what-if sentences. They're what lets you talk about everything from simple, everyday facts to crazy hypotheticals, and even things you kind of wish had gone a little differently.
So let's start with the simplest tool in the box, the zero conditional. This is the one you pull out for things that are just always true. We're talking scientific facts, rules, things that always happen as a result of something else. It's the bedrock of logical statements.
And check out how simple the formula is. It's a nice, clean equation. You've got an if part in the present simple, and the main part also in the present simple. If this happens, that happens, every single time. Super predictable.
And this example just nails it, right? This isn't a maybe, it's a fact of physics. If you heat water, that's present simple. It boils, also present simple. Easy, logical, and always, always true.
Okay, so building on that solid foundation, let's grab our next tool, the first conditional. With this one, we're moving away from absolute facts and into the world of real, likely possibilities in the future. This is the grammar you use for planning and making predictions.
So, what's the big change here? It's that little word will. The if part still stays in the present simple, but the result part jumps into the future with will. That's the signal that we're talking about a likely outcome based on something we do now.
A classic we can all relate to. The condition is, if I study hard right now, and the probable future result, I will pass. Now, it's not a 100% guarantee like water boiling, but it's a very real, very expected possibility.
All right, now things start to get really fun. The second conditional is all about dreaming and imagining. It lets us talk about situations in the present or future that aren't actually real. They're hypothetical, or maybe just super unlikely. This is your what if I won the lottery tool.
Whoa, okay, notice the big switch here. The if part now uses the past simple. And this is so important. We're not actually talking about the past. We're using the past tense to send a signal that the situation is imaginary, that it's a step away from reality. Then the result uses would.
And there's that classic daydream. If I had, that past tense right there tells you that sadly, I do not have $1 million right now. And because that condition is totally unreal, the result is also hypothetical. I would travel the world.
This brings us to the last and, most complex conditional. The third conditional is basically our grammar time machine. It lets us look back into the past, imagine we did something different, and then describe the different result that would have happened. This is pure regret and hindsight.
Now, I know this structure looks a little intimidating, but it makes total sense. To talk about a past that never happened, we need the past perfect. That's had plus the past participle. And for the unreal result in the past, we need would have plus the past participle. It's all locked in a past we can't change.
Oh, you can just feel the weight in this sentence. What's the reality? The person didn't study and they didn't pass. This conditional is what lets us express that regret and perfectly picture that alternate past that could have been.
Seeing these two side by side like this makes it all click, doesn't it? The second conditional imagines a different present, a different now. The third conditional reimagines a different past, a different then. That shift in the verb tense is everything. It's the key that tells you which timeline you're messing with.
Okay, toolkit check. We've got our conditional sorted. Now let's add some power-ups, the modals. These are tiny words that pack a huge punch. They add all these cool layers of meaning, like ability, advice, or necessity, right into your sentences.
So what exactly are they? Well, think of modals as helper verbs. They're like sidekicks. They can't stand on their own, but they team up with a main verb to change its meaning, to give it a very specific flavor or function. This is where your communication gets really sophisticated.
This chart breaks it down so well, but look at the subtle power here. Telling someone you should be quiet is just advice, but saying you must be quiet, that's a command, a rule. Can is about whether you're able to do something, while might is about whether it's possible it'll happen. Each one of these little words totally changes the vibe of your sentence. Okay, your turn. Quick pop quiz. Based on what we just talked about, which modal fits best in a library? Are we talking about someone's physical ability to be quiet, or are we talking about the strict rule of the library? And the answer is must, of course. While you can physically be quiet, the whole context of a library is about the rule, the necessity. It's a perfect little example of how picking the right modal is all about the specific meaning you want to get across. So, let's step back and take a look at our fully stocked toolkit. We've got our conditionals for handling any what-if you can think of, and we've got our modals for adding that extra power and precision. Let's do a super quick review of when to grab each tool. Think of this as your quick start guide, right? Is it a fact? Grab the 0. A real possibility in the future? First. Imagining a different present? Second. And looking back on the past with regret? That's the third. 4 tools, 4 totally different jobs. And of course, once you've built your main sentence, don't forget to power it up. Use those modals to fine-tune your meaning and add that crucial layer of ability, advice, or obligation. So now the final question is for you. With these tools, you can really express yourself more clearly and precisely than ever. You can talk about facts, plans, wild dreams, and deep regrets, all with total confidence. The only question left is, what are you going to build first? Hey there, and welcome. Have you ever felt like you know all the English grammar rules, but when it comes to actually talking, it just doesn't quite flow? Yeah, we've all been there. So today, we're going to ditch the boring grammar charts and actually build a practical toolkit for having natural, confident conversations in English. I mean, that's the big goal for almost everyone, right? To stop sounding like you're reading from a textbook and finally start sounding like, well, like you. And if that's what you're after, you are in exactly the right place. So think of this as us building your kit together piece by piece. We're going to start with the absolute basics, the foundation, and then work our way up to some really cool, advanced skills that are going to make a huge difference in how you speak.
All right, first things first, we have to do a quick check on the foundation. Now, I know this might seem super basic, but trust me, getting this core logic down is the absolute bedrock for everything else we're about to build on top of it.
And here it is, the secret code. Subject, verb, object. You've probably seen this a million times, but I want you to think of it like the DNA of English. It's the invisible pattern that just makes sentences make sense. Who did it? What did they do? And what did they do it to? Lock this in, and you'll always sound clear.
Okay, let's put that blueprint into action. A quick little pop quiz for you. How do you arrange these scrambled words so they actually sound like English? Think about it. Who's our subject here? Boom! You got it. She, that's our subject. Baked, that's the verb, the action. And a cake, that's the object. Simple, clean, and a solid foundation we need for what's coming next.
Okay, so our foundation is poured and it's solid. Now for the fun part. This is where we start adding some personality. A basic sentence is fine, but a sentence with detail, that's what makes conversations interesting. Let's grab some tools for adding a little flavor.
Now check this out, because this is where one tiny word can completely change the entire story. Adverbs of frequency tell us how often an action happens. So instead of a simple sentence like, he drinks coffee, you can say, he never drinks coffee. Whoa, see? That one word just gave us so much more information.
This is such a great question to ask yourself as you're talking. Okay, so an action is happening, but who is on the receiving end? Who is it for?
And this shows you the power of that question perfectly. When you add an indirect object, you give the action a destination. It's the difference between she sent a letter, which is okay, fine, and she sent her boss a letter. Bam! Now we have a complete picture, a mini story.
All right, this next tool is absolutely crucial. Because, a conversation isn't a monologue, right? It's a two-way street. You can't just make statements at people. You need a tool that invites them to talk back. And that tool is the question. And these words right here, these are your magic keys. They unlock information. Each one has a very specific job. Who is for a person, where is for a place, why is for a reason. Knowing which key to grab is the first step to asking really good questions.
And the best part is, the mechanics are usually pretty simple. A lot of the time, all you have to do is pop a little helper word like do right at the start. Or you just do a quick flip-flop. She is becomes is she. It's a tiny change, but it completely transforms a statement into an invitation to talk.
Okay, get ready, because this is the final and maybe the most powerful tool we're adding to our kit today. If you want to tell great stories, share news, and just be part of a richer conversation, you have got to get this down. This is a serious level up.
So what in the world is reported speech? Honestly, it's just how we talk about what other people said. It's how you gossip with your friends or tell your family what happened at work. Instead of saying, John said, quote, I am tired, end quote, you just say, John said he was tired. It's so much smoother.
Okay, so here is the number one rule, the most important one. When you report something, the verb usually has to do a little time travel. It takes one step back into the past. So am becomes was. Will becomes would. It makes sense, right? You're talking about something that already happened.
Rule number 2 is all about point of view. This is just common sense, really. If she says, I like pizza, you can't report it as, she said I like pizza. That's not right, unless you also happen to like pizza. You have to change it to match who you're talking about. So I becomes she, and we becomes they.
And finally, our time and place words have to do that same time travel trick. I mean, think about it. If your friend says, I'll do it tomorrow, but you're telling someone the story next week, the word tomorrow makes no sense anymore. You have to update it to the next day. Same thing for now, which becomes then, and here, which becomes there.
So let's see the whole shebang in action. I'll becomes she would, that's our pronoun and verb shift. And tomorrow becomes the next day, that's our time shift. You see? All the pieces work together to make a sentence that's perfectly clear and sounds completely natural. This is the goal. And there it is, your new conversational toolkit, all packed up and ready to go. You've got the bedrock for making solid sentences, the tools to add flavor and clarity, the magic key to starting dialogues, and the master skill for telling fantastic stories.
But here's the thing about a toolkit. The tools don't do any good just sitting in the box.
You have to take them out and start using them. Start listening for them when other people talk, and then try building your own sentences. That's how this stuff goes from being knowledge in your head to a skill you just have.
So as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with a final thought. With these tools in your hand, you're not just learning a bunch of rules anymore, you're building real confidence. So think about it. What's the first conversation, big or small, that you're going to totally transform with these new skills?
Hey, welcome! Do you ever feel like you know a whole bunch of English words, but when you put them together, they just don't click? Well, today, we are going to zero in on the tiny little words that make a massive difference in how fluent you sound. Let's jump right in.
And this, right here, says it all. Phrasal verbs really are the secret weapon that native speakers use all the time without even thinking about it. In this explainer, we're going to unpack them for you, so get ready to seriously level up your English.
I hear this from learners all the time. It's that really frustrating gap, between knowing the vocabulary and actually sounding natural when you speak. If that sounds familiar, trust me, you're in the right place. We're going to fix that today.
Okay, so before we get to that secret weapon, we've got to get the fundamentals down. Let's start with the small but mighty building blocks of fluency, prepositions.
The best way to think about prepositions is like the GPS for your sentence. Seriously, they tell you where something is, when it's happening, or which way it's going. Without them, we'd be totally lost.
Just look at how these simple words give us such critical info. On tells us exactly where the book is. At pinpoints the time she got there. And through describes the path they took. See what I mean? Tiny words, huge impact.
All right, time for a little pop quiz. What's the one little word that finishes this sentence? Take a second, think about it. You got it?
Yes, the keys are in the drawer. Perfect. You're already thinking about those relationships between things and places. Let's do another one. Okay, this one's a little different. Something's missing, right? The sentence just sounds wrong. What preposition do we need here to make it sound like something a real person would say?
Exactly. She sat on the chair. That tiny word on is absolutely essential. It connects the action with the object. You're totally getting the hang of this. Okay, so now that we're warmed up with prepositions, it is time to unleash that secret weapon we talked about, phrasal verbs. This is where your English really goes from good to great.
Look at this. It's like magic. You take a simple verb you already know, like look, and you add a little preposition, like after, and bam, it doesn't mean to see anymore. It means to care for. The meaning completely transforms. Same with give, turning into give up. This is the whole secret.
So, how in the world do you master these things? I know it can feel like there are thousands you have to memorize, but really, there's a simple formula that makes them way easier to understand.
Here's the recipe. It's so simple. Step 1, take a basic verb you know, like run. Step 2, add a preposition you know, like into. Step 3, and boom, you get a completely new meaning, to meet someone by chance. It's like a little bit of word magic.
Let's look at a few more you'll hear every single day. We don't really say activate the light, right? We say turn on the light. We don't just rise from bed, we get up. And we don't always discover new info, we often just find it out. Using these is what's going to make you sound so much more natural.
Okay, your turn to try. How would you rephrase they discovered the truth using one of the phrasal verbs we just talked about? Think about it for a second. You got it. They found out the truth. It means the exact same thing, but it just sounds so much more like everyday English. And that's the whole point. It's about sounding less like a textbook and more like you.
All right, you've tackled prepositions, you've unlocked phrasal verbs, now it's time for a lightning round, a final challenge to pull it all together. Ready? Let's see what you've got. First one, a quick review of verb tenses. The key word is tomorrow. So for the future, you need am going. I am going to the store tomorrow. Nice. Next up, modal verbs. This is all about advice versus a strict rule. For safety, what's the best fit here? Yeah, should is perfect for strong advice. You should wear a helmet. Must is more for a law you have to follow. And we're back to prepositions. Where's the cat? Quick, quick. It's hiding under the bed. Awesome.
Last one, let's lock in those phrasal verbs. The meaning here is to quit or to stop. So the answer is, I need to give up junk food. You totally nailed it.
So after all that, what's the big takeaway?
It's that fluency isn't always about learning more and more big, complicated words. A lot of the time, the real secret is just mastering these tiny, powerful words that glue everything together. They really are the key.
Feeling good about this? If you want to take it to the next level and really make these skills stick, I've got a worksheet linked right below. It's got more challenges and examples. Go check it out.
And to finish up, I'm going to leave you with this question. Don't just learn it, use it. Pick one phrasal verb we talked about today and make it your mission to use it in a conversation. That's how you really make this stuff your own. Thanks for tuning in.
Ready to transform your English learning journey? Hey, English learners! What if I told you there's a place where homework becomes exciting, grammar checking is instant, and IELTS prep feels like a game? After investing countless hours, resources, and funds to create something truly special for students worldwide, we've built ClearPath English, your all-in-one English learning companion. Why struggle alone when you can have an AI teacher available 24/7, instant grammar correction and feedback, complete IELTS preparation modules, interactive lessons and vocabulary tools, and so much more? We believe learning English shouldn't drain your wallet or waste your precious time. That's why we've packed everything you need into one powerful platform. Ready to see what makes thousands of students worldwide choose ClearPath English? Visit http://www.acemastery.online today and discover tools that actually simplify your learning journey.